This is my second time sculpting Scarlett Johansson. Compared with the last time 2 years ago, I can clearly feel my growth. This growth is not only reflected in the improvement of sculpting techniques, but also in my understanding of characters, control of materials, and even in my in-depth thinking about artistic expression. For this creation, I still chose polymer clay. For me, it is almost like a material tailor-made for me. Compared with traditional fine carving oil clay, polymer clay has its own color and does not need to be repeatedly colored later, which saves a lot of trouble. Moreover, it can be directly put into the oven for curing. After shaping, it has a delicate feel and stable texture, which is very suitable for expressing the facial expressions and body details of the characters. During the creation process, it can quickly get me into the state, as if I am not controlling the clay, but I am talking with this lump of clay. It can reflect my intentions and imagination very naturally, allowing me to focus more on the expression of emotions and beauty. Of course, every creator has his own preferred material. Some people like hard oil clay that is easy to modify for a long time, while I prefer polymer clay with a soft texture and strong gelatin. Especially when expressing the smoothness of the character's skin, the softness of the folds of the clothes, and the natural flow of the female curves, the softer clay has a smoother and warmer feeling. If you are also trying to sculpt, I suggest you test several types of clay and find the one that best suits your hand feel. It will really make your efficiency and the finished product effect have a qualitative leap. The first time I met Scarlett Johansson was in the Marvel movie. I was extremely impressed by her role as Black Widow. Her sexy but not ostentatious, soft and strong temperament is very penetrating. She has both the gentleness and delicacy of a woman and the tenacity and courage of a warrior, which makes people unforgettable. I thought at the time that one day, I must use sculpture to express this hidden power. For this sculpture, I did not choose to completely restore her appearance in real life, but wanted to express the Scarlett in my heart more subjectively. So here, I also want to explain to everyone in advance that I hope you will not judge this work with overly realistic standards. Artistic creation is never a 100% reproduction, but a fusion of feelings and imagination, and a presentation of an artist's inner perspective. I started with facial sculpture because for me, the soul of a sculpture is the face. The temperament and expression conveyed by the face play 80% of the role in whether a sculpture can impress people. Scarlett's facial features are very distinct. Her nose is high but not sharp, her lips are full and slightly upturned, and her smile is silent but meaningful. The most fascinating thing is her eyes, which always seem to be observing the world through the lens, and like hiding an unspoken secret. I tried 3 times to carve her eyes. Every time, as long as the angle is wrong, the expression is completely wrong. Even if the arc of the corner of the eye is slightly deviated, the entire facial expression will be distorted. A truly touching sculpture is never determined by likeness, but whether the charm can be expressed. After the facial sculpture was completed, I used pastels to lightly make up her. A little bit of eyeshadow, a little blush, and a little highlight on the bridge of the nose and chin. I like the natural and restrained makeup. It is not for heavy makeup, but to inject a character and emotion into the character. This makeup makes her more three-dimensional and more storytelling. Then I started to carve what I thought was the most difficult part, the hair. Scarlett's hairstyle is the kind of big wavy curls that are common among European and American women, with many layers, complex curls, and strong fluidity of the hair. I first rolled the clay into thin strips, and then rolled them into wavy arcs strand by strand. Each hair needs to be made by hand, and then glued one by one according to the head shape. Hair is not like the body, which is static. It is floating. You not only have to carve the shape of the curls, but also show the feeling of natural drooping and being blown by the wind. Sometimes I carved more than a dozen strands of hair and pasted them on, and I saw that the overall structure was not coordinated, so I had to remove them all and redo them. This really took a lot of patience and time. One day, I spent almost a whole day to complete the small half circle of hair from the top of the head to the back of the ear. But when you finally arrange every strand of hair properly, the feeling of the character is alive is really indescribable. After the head sculpture was completed, I began to enter the stage of sculpting the body, which is a very critical part of the entire sculpture. As usual, I first made the internal structure. I used iron wire to build the basic skeleton of the character. This step is very important. It is like the pillar of a human body. The skeleton not only determines whether the whole posture is natural, but also directly affects the subsequent volume shaping, center of gravity balance, and overall stability. Sometimes many friends will ignore this step, thinking that it's all clay outside anyway, but it is not. An unreasonable skeleton is likely to cause an imbalance in the posture during subsequent carving, and even cause cracks, collapse, or deformation during baking or moving. After the skeleton is built, I will use aluminum foil to fill in the approximate body blocks, especially the key parts such as the chest, abdomen, buttocks, and use aluminum foil to shape the basic three-dimensional outline. The advantage of aluminum foil is that it is both light and strong, and it can also reduce the amount of clay and reduce the overall weight. The most important thing is that it will not affect the uniform heating during baking. Next, it is time to start sculpting the clay. I wrap the polymer clay around the skeleton layer by layer, like putting on a layer of skin for the character. This time I chose a bikini shape, which is a design type I have always liked. It is simple, sexy, and can show the curves of the female body to the greatest extent. The advantage of this shape is that it does not have too many complicated clothing details to interfere, so you can focus more on the performance of the body structure itself. At this stage, I consciously exaggerated her chest and hip lines. This is not for curiosity or sensationalism, but a presentation of my subjective aesthetics. Scarlett, in my mind, is a sexy, free, and confident woman. She does not need exaggerated movements or words, just standing there quietly. She can exude a sense of power that cannot be ignored. Many people think that sexiness is a kind of appearance, but I think the real sexiness comes from the inner calmness and tension. So I did not blindly pursue the ultimate perfect proportion, but through local reinforcement and extension of lines, I made her look more confident, but not vulgar beauty. Although the appearance of bikinis may seem simple, in fact, it requires extremely high control of the body. Especially when dealing with anatomical structures such as waistlines, ribs, hip bones, shoulder blades, and clavicles, it must be very precise. If you are not careful, such as the waist is too straight and the legs are too short, the whole posture will appear stiff and rigid, and even completely lose the softness and rhythm that women should have. In order to make the lines look natural and smooth, I often use my fingers and carving tools to slowly wipe the outline repeatedly. This is not simply carving, but a combination of shaping and kneading, just like kneading dough, so that every curve transitions softly and with tension. I pay special attention to the rhythm between the body and posture, such as the slight tilt of the shoulders, the natural offset of the hips, and the slightly bent arc of the knees. These details can make the character look breathing instead of like a fixed model. In addition, I also added some skin details. For example, the muscle undulations on the back, the slight texture of the abdomen, and the natural curvature and tension on the arms and thighs. Although these details are subtle, they can produce rich shadows and textures under the light, thus enhancing the realism and vitality of the characters. What satisfies me most is the posture of her whole body, the center of gravity slightly shifted to one side, the slightly curved S-shaped body direction, combined with the turning of the head and the fluttering of the hair, making the whole work have a sense of movement in stillness, as if she is about to walk from the beach and gently brushed by a gust of sea breeze. During the sculpting process of the whole body, I kept standing far away and walking around the sculpture to observe whether it was coordinated from different angles. Many times, when looking at the perfect structure from the front, I found that the proportion was wrong when I changed the angle, so I had to go back and adjust it repeatedly. It can be said that this step of body sculpting almost consumed half of my creative time, but it was also the part one enjoyed the most, because it was in this process of shaping layer by layer that I seemed to bring an imaginary character into this world bit by bit from nothing. A friend asked me, "What kind of clay did you use?" In fact, I think there is no good or bad material. The key is whether it is suitable for you. I am currently using a relatively soft polymer clay, which is easy to shape and has good toughness after baking and is not easy to break. You can try a few more and find the one that is most comfortable for you. Someone else asked, "Can this sculpture be bought?" Of course, if you like this Scarlett or want to customize your favorite character, you can contact me through the method below the video. I have always felt that art is not a lonely thing. It is a connection between creators and audiences, a kind of resonance. If you like this creation, you are also welcome to like, comment, and forward it, and tell me who you want to see me carve next time. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey, and see you in the next video.